tentang perdamaian tidak akan mencerminkan kebutuhan dari perempuan itu sendiri. Hal lain yang dilihat dari konteks bahwa ya memang sebagian masyarakat kita ada yang mengalami perang, ada yang mengalami konflik, dispute kecil hari-harian dan sebagainya. Tapi bahwa kenyataannya ada banyak perempuan yang mau dan dengan sukarela melakukan proses-proses bagaimana melakukan negosiasi antar kampung ke kampung yang lainnya. Perempuan-perempuan mau untuk memulai upaya perdamaian. Misalnya perempuan-perempuan di Aceh pada saat mengakhiri konflik, mereka bersepakat untuk lebih memilih perdamaian dibandingkan dengan referendum. Perempuan-perempuan di Maluku misalnya, para perempuan penjual ikan, mereka sangat ingin bahwa dunia ini perlu untuk menghentikan segala macam pertikaian dan sebagainya. Itu semua ada dan eksis di dalam konteks perang. Tapi sayangnya itu tidak dilihat dalam konstelasi internasional. Tentu saja suara internasional itu adalah suara yang ada di lokalitas, di berbagai negara yang sedang mengalami perang. Maka dari itu mengapa banyak kelompok-kelompok perempuan merasa perlu untuk menyuarakan ini dan mereka bergabung di dalam namanya NGO Working Group. Dan mereka melakukan advokasi ini, lalu mereka tentu tidak sendiri, mereka dibantu sejumlah banyak pihak. Dua aktor diplomat yang penting untuk diingat dalam proses bagaimana 1325 dilahirkan. Yang pertama adalah Netumbo Nandi Naitwa, adalah menteri peranan perempuan di Namibia, yang waktu itu Namibia diberikan kesempatan untuk menjadi chair di Dewan Keamanan. Yang kedua itu adalah Ambasador Anwarul Chowdhury dari Bangladesh, yang saya rasa kalau teman-teman membaca di sejarahnya Bangladesh sampai sekarang cukup respon tentang Women, Peace and Security karena pernah menoreh sejarah bahwa salah satu diplomat terbaik mereka memperjuangkan ini di ranah internasional. Sebelum 1325 disahkan oleh PBB, teman-teman, ada sebuah forum besar sekali di Beijing tahun 1995 di mana ribuan orang berkumpul di sana, termasuk saya rasa 200 delegasi Indonesia. Dibiayai oleh sejumlah donatur untuk hadir di dalam forum penting tersebut. Mengapa penting? Ya karena itu adalah konferensi dunia yang keempat tentang perempuan. Satu hal yang sangat perlu diingat oleh kalian semua, disitulah Hillary Clinton pertama kali mengatakan bahwa women rights is human rights. Saya ulangi lagi, women rights is human rights. Apa maknanya? Maknanya adalah hak-hak perempuan dalam konteks perempuan korban, perempuan sebagai agensi dan yang lainnya, itu bagian dari kita bicara tentang HAM, tentang hak asasi manusia. Jadi maksudnya adalah kalau bicara tentang HAM itu jangan lupa ada hak asasi manusia perempuan dan juga ada anak-anak. Maka mengapa Hillary Clinton sejak itu berkomitmen untuk mengawal Women, Peace and Security masuk ke dalam Dewan Keamanan PBB. Dalam kongres yang 1995 terkenal dengan Beijing Platform for Action inilah, teman-teman, kemudian dilahirkan 12 area of concern atau 12 isu kritis pemberdayaan perempuan yang sampai sekarang masih dipakai. Apa itu 12 area of concern-nya? Yang pertama adalah perempuan dan kemiskinan. Sampai sekarang kita masih mengalami itu. Yang kedua, perempuan dalam pendidikan dan pelatihan. Ketiga, perempuan dan kesehatan. Yang keempat, kekerasan terhadap perempuan. Yang kelima, perempuan dalam situasi konflik bersenjata. Ini yang saya katakan salah satu agenda penting 1995 merespon sejumlah banyak konferensi sebelumnya yang membicarakan tentang pentingnya melihat inklusi perempuan dalam konteks perdamaian dan keamanan. Maka Di Beijing Platform for Action sangat jelas sekali sejumlah rekomendasi di-highlight di sana, tidak saja pada persoalan bagaimana merespon korban kekerasan berbasis gender dan seksual, tetapi juga highlight banget persoalan pentingnya partisipasi perempuan dalam penyelesaian konflik, karena memang dunia belum terlalu berhasil dalam konteks ini. Agenda yang keenam adalah perempuan dan ekonomi. Ada perempuan dalam kekuasaan dan pengambilan keputusan, maksudnya adalah bicara tentang perempuan dalam konteks politik, bagaimana perempuan masuk di dalam decision making proses gitu ya. Lalu 8 ada agenda perempuan dan mekanisme institusi. Kemudian yang ke-9 adalah hak asasi manusia perempuan, itu menjadi sorotan tersendiri juga. Kenapa penting? Sekali lagi saya katakan tadi bahwa dunia masih belum sepenuhnya mengakui bahwa hak-hak perempuan itu bagian dari hak asasi manusia. Maka penting untuk diulang dan dipastikan bahwa negara-negara state member ini perlu meng-highlight persoalan ini. Kemudian yang ke-10 ada perempuan dan media, lalu ada perempuan dan lingkungan hidup, dan ada anak perempuan di dalam agenda yang ke-12. 12 area of concern ini atau isu kunci ini, teman-teman boleh cek, itu masih relevan sampai sekarang. Nah, kembali kepada konteks Women, Peace and Security. Di dalam dokumen inilah sebenarnya cikal bakal di resolusi 1325 yang akhirnya kemudian dengan berbagai macam advokasi disahkan pada Oktober tahun 2000. Resmi ada di dalam mekanismenya Dewan Keamanan PBB. Orang sering bertanya, mengapa sih ada di dalam Dewan Keamanan PBB, bukan di luar Dewan Keamanan PBB yang biasanya dikotak di dalam konteksnya pemberdayaan perempuan. Yang pertama tentu saja ini memang yang disasar adalah Dewan Keamanan PBB karena mereka memiliki mandat internasional. Kalau ini hanya dimasukkan ke dalam pemberdayaan perempuan, maka treatmentnya akan sama, teman-teman. Tidak akan menyentuh infrastruktur dan mekanisme perdamaian internasional, di mana salah satunya adalah pengiriman pasukan perdamaian itu ada di dalam Dewan Keamanan PBB, dan itu banyak sekali bermasalah. Dan itu yang sedang dikritik. Maka dari itu mengapa dalam konteks perjuangan 1325 ini perempuan-perempuan, para pejuang ini tidak mau memasukkan ke dalam kandangnya pemberdayaan perempuan, tapi masuk ke dalam wilayah yang lebih luas karena dibutuhkan reformasi yang sangat besar di dalam konteks dunia merespon persoalan konflik dan perang. Pada episode sebelumnya, saya membahas tentang sejarah 1325 atau lengkapnya resolusi Dewan Keamanan. BB 1325 tentang perempuan, perdamaian, dan keamanan. Nah, saya ingin menjelaskan lebih detail bagaimana kerangka ini sebenarnya. Dan saya rasa ini sangat bisa dikembangkan oleh banyak bidang yang itu beririsan dengan tentu saja situasi konflik baik yang terbuka maupun tidak terbuka. Ada 4 hal penting di dalam kerangka Women, Peace and Security. Yang pertama adalah kerangka ini mengingatkan kepada kita selalu tentang bagaimana kita jangan sampai lupa pengalaman perempuan itu diverse atau beragam. Setiap perempuan memiliki keunikan, pengalaman, dan keunikan itulah maka penting untuk dilihat dengan kacamata interseksional. Maksudnya kacamata interseksional itu adalah kalau konflik terjadi di sebuah tempat, ada misalnya etnis Dayak, perempuan Dayak, dan perempuan Madura misalnya. Mereka memiliki pengalaman yang berbeda. Jadi cara pandang kita tidak boleh hanya melihat perempuan Dayak saja atau perempuan Madura saja, tapi juga harus ada interseksional yang lainnya. Dia tinggal di wilayah mana? Afiliasi politik dengan siapa, dan dia punya sejarah apa terkait dengan situasi konflik. Keberadaan dia menjadi bagian dari etnik tertentu itu juga sudah memberikan elemen interseksional yang pasti akan berbeda. Kalau kita bisa melihatnya dengan kacamata yang lebih jernih, maka kita akan mendapatkan keunikan-keunikan itu dalam tidak hanya situasi gender based violence mereka, tetapi juga pola-pola mereka melakukan perlawanan atau resistensi di dalam komunitasnya. Nah, perspektif interseksionalitas inilah yang selalu menjadi kekuatan di dalam Women Peace and Security. Yang kedua adalah tentu saja perlu diingat dan selalu diingat bahwa gender based violence, kekerasan seksual itu bagian dari pelanggaran HAM. Saya katakan lagi, gender based violence sama sexual violence itu bagian dari pelanggaran HAM. Jadi reporting pelanggaran HAM dalam konteks konflik ataupun bukan konflik, kedua bentuk kekerasan ini yang terjadi khas pada perempuan menjadi penting untuk dicatat dan penting untuk mendapatkan keadilan. Dalam konteks inilah di wilayah konflik kita telah banyak terdokumentasi kasus-kasus terkait dengan kekerasan berbasis gender maupun kekerasan seksual. Misalnya dalam sejumlah konflik di dunia, genosida Rwanda misalnya telah menyebutkan sekitar 250.000 sampai 500.000 perempuan dan anak diperkosa selama konflik itu terjadi. Lebih dari 60.000 perempuan pada konflik Sierra Leone dan Herzegovina dan Bosnia, hampir 50.000 perempuan. Di Indonesia sendiri juga banyak kasus-kasus di mana kekerasan berbasis gender dan seksual terdokumentasi baik sebenarnya oleh sejumlah pihak. Kalau teman-teman buka dan search di Google misalnya, laporan Komnas Perempuan terkait dengan kekerasan berbasis gender dan seksual di Papua misalnya, itu terdokumentasi dengan sangat bagus. Testimoni hampir banyak korban-korbannya dalam sebuah buku berjudul Stop Sudah. Buku yang dikeluarkan oleh Ajar misalnya, yang berjudul Ini Saya, itu juga sebuah dokumentasi tentang bagaimana para perempuan-perempuan di wilayah Papua mengalami kekerasan berbasis gender dan kekerasan seksual. Buku yang juga tak kalah hebatnya dan ditulis oleh seorang jurnalis, Our Bodies They Battlefield, itu juga menyuguhkan data-data di semua konflik di dunia. jutaan perempuan dan anak menjadi korban konflik, dan itu spesifik kepada kekerasan seksual dan kekerasan berbasis gender. Dan ini semua yang membuat kemudian dunia mengatakan bahwa, termasuk PBB, kekerasan seksual adalah taktik perang. Maka dari itu ini adalah kejahatan perang yang perlu untuk selalu diingatkan dan dicarikan keadilan buat korbannya. Yang ketiga, dalam kerangka Women, Peace and Security adalah bicara tentang partisipasi politik perempuan. Partisipasi perempuan di dalam semua level pengambilan kebijakan itu penting. Tapi partisipasi perempuan dalam konteks resolusi konflik itu juga hal yang sangat ditunggu-tunggu, bagaimana ini bisa maju. Karena dunia nggak terlalu maju dengan hal ini. Kita tarik deh di konteksnya Indonesia, ya. Ada 3 perjanjian damai yang sudah dilakukan. Yang pertama ada Helsinki lah, kita punya ya cerita. Tidak ada satupun perempuan diundang. Ada 1 perempuan yang hadir itu sebagai advisor, bukan bagian dari signatory di dalam konteks perundingan damai. Tetapi itu pun sudah membawa sedikit proses yang berbeda. Di Malino 1 dan Malino 2 ada sejumlah perempuan yang dilibatkan. Malino 1 terkait dengan penyelesaian kasus Poso dan Malino 2 terkait dengan penyelesaian kasus Ambon. Ada representasi perempuan dari pihak-pihak yang berbeda. Tapi sayangnya kedua perjanjian damai ini tidak terlalu dimonitor implementasinya di lapangan. Jadi nggak ada hubungannya antara development yang sedang berjalan di lapangan pasca konflik dengan apa yang sebenarnya tertuliskan di dalam perjanjian damai. Ada banyak missing teman-teman dalam konteks ini. Tetapi penting untuk memastikan bahwa partisipasi perempuan mesti ada. Apa sih gunanya? Tentu saja hadirnya saja perempuan di dalam perundingan damai sudah memberikan efek berbeda. Ada perempuan di dalam sebuah ruangan, maka mau nggak mau memaksa kita untuk membicarakan tentang, hey, konflik itu dampaknya apa pada perempuan. In spesifik, dampaknya pada perempuan juga dampaknya kepada anak-anak. Yang kedua, hadirnya perempuan di dalam konteks kita berbicara tentang persoalan penyelesaian konflik akan membawa kita kepada penelusuran tentang lapis-lapis dampak yang lebih dalam lagi kepada perempuan-perempuan, khususnya perempuan yang mereka memiliki status sebagai kelompok marginal. Oke, kelompok perempuan yang majority mereka terdampak, yang minoritas atau yang termarginal mereka juga terdampak berbeda, dan itu penting untuk direkognisi dan penting untuk diintervensi dengan pendekatan yang berbeda. Yang keempat adalah pengakuan agensi perempuan. Adanya maupun keberadaan peace builders di masyarakat kita sudah banyak didokumentasikan oleh dunia. Di banyak konflik, dan bisa di Google, berapa banyak perempuan-perempuan yang merelakan dirinya mengambil langkah maju untuk menyelamatkan para masyarakat yang terkena dampak konflik. Cerita di Aceh pada saat perang terjadi, para perempuan-perempuan inilah, mereka tidak pergi ke gunung-gunung atau ke hutan-hutan. Merekalah yang menyelamatkan dan menjaga komunitas. Mereka mengambil alih semua kepemimpinan di masyarakat Aceh pada saat itu, termasuk persoalan administrasi desa, semua dikerjakan oleh perempuan. Di belahan dunia yang lainnya, misalnya di Liberia, terkenal banget. Teman-teman bisa cek melalui filmnya Pray the Devil Back to Hell. Bagaimana perempuan-perempuan itu menggalang pesan damai, kemudian menjadikan itu sebuah gerakan yang konkret untuk menghentikan perang bersaudara yang bertahun-tahun telah berjalan. Di belahan dunia yang lainnya, misalnya di wilayah Palestina, Perempuan-perempuan ini mampu mereka menembus batas untuk membangun koalisi dengan perempuan di Israel. Dan sejumlah yang lainnya, ternyata tujuan mereka adalah perdamaian, bukan segregasi. Dan mungkin ada banyak cerita-cerita yang pasti akan teman-teman temui gitu ya. Bagaimana agensi perempuan ini bekerja dan mereka penting untuk direkognisi, mereka juga penting untuk dilindungi karena mereka juga merupakan target yang juga disasar oleh sejumlah orang yang merasa terganggu dengan pola kerja para perempuan perdamaian ini. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. distinguished guests, respected faculty members, students, and participants. Welcome to this special session of the Women, Peace and Security lecturing program. It is a privilege to have all of you here as we embark on the meaningful journey to deepen our understanding and commitment to advancing the Women, Peace and Security agenda. The WPS agenda established through United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325 is not merely a framework. It is a call to action. It emphasizes the critical role of women in preventing and resolving conflict, building peace, and addressing the vulnerabilities of women and girls faced during times of unrest. As we navigate today's global challenges, the need to fully integrate women's voices and leadership into peace process has never been more urgent. Aman Indonesia, with 18 years of dedication, has been grounding the WPS agenda in villages through the Women's School for Peace program, currently active in 44 villages. In this program, interfaith women not only exchange experiences and knowledge, but also create an avenue for transformation action to foster women leadership. Aman Indonesia firmly believes that democracy and the fulfillment of women human rights are integral to the success of Women, Peace and Security agenda. A broad democratic space is healthy ecosystem for WPS to thrive. As such, Aman Indonesia serves as a collective home for 292 civil society organizations across 19 provinces, working together in the rhythm of women movement. This includes amplifying the voices of women victims and survivors of conflict, women peace builders, and women exploited in terrorism contexts due to doctrines of obedience, placing their stories as the foundation for transformation. Recently, Aman Indonesia has initiated the institutionalization of WPS into Sustainable Peace Village by integrating women, peace and security with sustainable development indicators aiming to strengthen village resilience as the locus of women effort to build a peace ecosystem rooted in the local strengths. At the global level, our mission to highlight Indonesia lessons on women peace and women peace building has gained recognition, reshaping the conversation on women peace and security. For example, the digital platform She Built Peace goes beyond a campaign. It serves as a powerful tool to inclusively share the unheard and untold stories of grassroots women peace builders transforming their communities. Through this, we gain valuable insights into women-led strategies and approaches to building social cohesion, mobilizing empathy, and fostering lasting change. When religion is identified as one of the obstacles, we do not turn away from it. Instead, we embrace it fully. Through the Indonesia Women Ulama Congress movement, we introduce a gender-friendly interpretation of faith, drawing on the strengths of women experiences and knowledge as the foundation of religious interpretation. Together with KUPI, we continue to create new narrative of gender equality and diligently introduce them to the community, gradually moving away from global jargon that often triggers resistance. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time for Aman Indonesia to invite universities to join the orchestration of the peace movement in Indonesia. Universities are more than just center of learning. They are catalysts for change and innovation, making them essential partners in advancing the Women, Peace and Security agenda. This institution nurtures bold ideas that challenge the status quo, fostering collaboration across discipline and generate new knowledge on gender, peace, and security. By working together, we can bridge the gap between theory and practices, ensuring that academic insight shape impactful policies and grassroots initiatives. Most importantly, universities empower the next generation of leaders with the skills, values, and vision to champion gender equality, drive inclusive peace building, and create lasting solutions to the world's most urgent challenges. The digital format of the Women, Peace and Security lecturing program ensure greater accessibility and inclusivity, allowing participants from diverse regions to engage in meaningful discussion without geographic or logistical barriers. By leveraging technology, the program can reach a broader audience, foster cross-cultural dialogue, and provide interactive learning experiences that adapt to the needs of modern learners. This approach not only democratizes access to knowledge, but also strengthens global networks, empowering participants to collaboratively advance the WPS agenda in innovative and impactful ways. To conclude my remark, I would like to share a story from Lamongan. Many people know Lamongan for its famous dishes like pecel lele and soto Lamongan. However, there's something else that has unfortunately marked Lamongan in people's minds. It has been associated with terrorism. Since mid-2024, our team has been facilitating a social reintegration process for the former ISIS combatant and their family, helping them meet with and build commitment within the community. With the support of Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah and the commitment of local government officials and residents, we have had the opportunity to use reflective structured dialogue, or RSD, a dialogue approach that helps improve understanding. In the village of Kandang Semangkon, 104 community representatives, half of whom were women, took part in a series of 10 dialogues. Through the leadership of these women, they successfully challenged several misconceptions and stigma, such as addressing violent extremism is only men's job, women are merely a victim in violent extremism, or violent extremism must be dealt with through military force because it involves weapons. In reality, women can play critical roles in countering extremism, including acting as the family advocates, educators, dialogue facilitators, and members of resilient team. They also showed that violent extremism can be tackled in more humanistic ways through heart-to-heart conversation, building trust, and fostering human connection. This story of change at the grassroots level is something that academics should explore. It is important to analyze the gender power dynamic within conflict setting, reinterpret these experiences, and develop new concepts that integrate the women, peace, and security agenda with different academic fields. In the future, this research will allow Indonesia to contribute to the creation of new knowledge on women, peace, and security within the context of democratic nation with the largest Muslim population in the world. Once again, thank you for joining us, and let us make this session a meaningful and impactful experience for all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
From Universitas Brawijaya, please join in me welcoming Professor Anang Sujoko, SOS MSI Dekom, to deliver his speech. The time and place is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarikalah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Allahumma sholli wa barik ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Welcome all participants, speakers, and organizers in this Women, Peace, Security Lecturing Kusti Campus. This event is a collaboration between MN Indonesia and FISIP, Universitas Brawijaya, to bring this topic in the academic environment. To begin with, this Women, Peace and Security, or we can call WPS, as a recognition of UN Resolution 1325 on Women, Peace and Security, which highlights the importance of women's involvement in conflict resolution and peace process. Indonesia, as a part of a global community, had established some effort in adopting the WPS agenda in national policy through the National Action Plan for the Protection and Empowerment of Women and Children in Social Conflict, or we can call RAN-PPAKS, Rencana Aksi Nasional Perlindungan dan Pemberdayaan Perempuan dan Anak dalam Konflik Sosial. In addition, this event's goal is to share understanding among the students in Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas Brawijaya, especially to students in International Relations Study Program. Hopefully, this event will encourage everyone who attend here, and particularly students, to be a part of supporting women, peace, and security agenda, and become driver for change in the future. All participants and also speaker and also organizer. So I hope all the participants will be actively participates in this discussion. And this topic, bridging the divide. In this activity, women's leaderships and impact in peace processes worldwide. It's very important right now. So furthermore, I hope and I do appreciate for this activity and also for enriching the idea and also maybe sharing opinion to find the good resolution, how to empower women, how to encourage women to participate more and more in peace and security, and particularly in worldwide. So I do appreciate the speaker who attends here, Ibu Irina Hiraswari Gayatri. Thank you very much for your participation here. And also Dr. Ampon Martin, thank you very much also. And also Ibu Meli Novriani as a head of study program International Relations. And everyone who will participate in this discussion to encourage everyone and also how we can contribute to the world to guarantee or to make peace in the worldwide. And also thank you very much to the organizer who had been working hard to make this event work and run smoothly. Last but not least, thank you, and I wish this event run smoothly and will become a platform to expand academic and social discussion on women, peace and security agenda. Finally, this event not only stop or end here, but this is always a part of the long process to make sure what we have done can be continued in this real activity. Okay, I'm waiting your contribution more and more to make our world peace, secure, and safe for everyone. Thank you very much, and I wish this event runs smoothly. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much for Professor Anang for the warm and also insightful remarks. With those inspiring words, we officially commence today's program. And once again, thank you for their warm and also thoughtful words, which have set the perfect tone for our event. Now, to guide us through the discussion and also a session that we have planned today, I am delighted to introduce our moderator, Mr. Neola Hesto Prayogo, SIPMA, who will be leading us through the program with such a great insight and also expertise. Without further ado, I hand the floor to Mr. Neola. The stage and time is yours.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Nara, as MC. Before we start, please welcome our speaker. We have two speakers by offline and one speaker by online. Please welcome Miss Melly and then Miss Iren Hiraswari. Give applause. Yeah, okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable three speakers who are expert in women, peace, and security. And also thank you for all the participants who are joined with us by both online and offline. And today we have a good opportunity to get many information about women, peace, and security. And the theme is bridging the divide, women leadership and impact in peace process worldwide. This event can be organized by Aman and then Faculty of Social and Political Sciences and International Relations Department. Before we start our discussion, let me introduce myself. My name is Neola Suprayogo. I am a lecturer in International Relations Department. And today we have three speakers who are expert in women, peace, and security. First speaker is Miss Iren Hiraswari Gayatri, expert on women, peace, and security and researcher at BRIN. She will discuss about policy and advocacy enhancing women participation in peace building. And the second speaker is Dr. Ampon Marden, expert on women, peace and security and researcher at Thammasat University. She will speak about the intersection of gender, religion, and security in peace building. And Dr. Ampon will be joining us virtually via Zoom. And the third speaker is Ms. Melly Noviani, SOS MMMA. She is head of International Relations Department and also lecturer on gender in peace and international security. She will present on promoting gender perspective in academic peace building initiative. Before we start our session, each speaker will have 20 until 30 minutes to present their topic. After all three presenters, we will open a Q&A session. Now let's begin with our first speaker, to Mr. Iren Hiraswati Gayatri. The time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Salam sejahtera buat kita semua. Salam damai. Thank you so much for our esteemed host, Visible Hubungan Internasional Universitas Brawijaya, and also I had to mention ASEAN Muslim Asian Network Indonesia. Malang is my hometown. I grew up here. Sociologically, culturally, this place brought me so many memories when I landed here. But unfortunately, I only could spend 1 day today, 1 day and 1 night. But I think that would be enough as well. I have my cousin there at the Faculty of Engineering, Electronics, Dr. Unggul Wibowo. He used to be a dean there at the faculty. And for the first time, he dropped me at FISIP, Universitas Brawijaya. It's so good memories between students of technical faculty with social politics. So today my topic is the version 3 of the presentation. Nani? Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. So the title is Indonesia Policy and Advocacy in Enhancing Women's Participation in Peace Building. And this topic is a part of Women Peace and Security Lecturing Goes to Campus, Period 1. Mind her voice, lead the change, and shape the future. So mind her voice, lead the change, and shape the future. These are three important aspects of the woman, peace, and security pillars that comprises of 4 pillars. You can put it up, the slide. So not only dominated by my face, yeah. Yeah, so first slide and then the second slide. So what is the United Nations Peace and Security agenda? Second slide, please. Okay, maybe can zoom it a bit, but it's quite small. Yeah. So One Peace and Security agenda, yeah, was established in 2000 with the adoption of United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325, which recognized the disproportionate impact of armed conflict on women and girls and the crucial role of women in conflict resolution and peace building. Now you might ask, why was that very important that this resolution came up? No other than because of the context in 2000. We remember perhaps the story of the East versus West and the fall of the Berlin Wall. And the year of 2000 was very crucial for Indonesia because we just entered the second year of democratization after 1998 revolution, May, President Suharto resigned. And the nation context also shaped how Indonesia then adopted the National Action Plan as localization of the Women, Peace and Security agenda at a global level. It has 4 pillars or 4 principles structured around key pillars: participation, prevention, protection, and relief and recovery. And these pillars outline a comprehensive approach to ensuring women's meaningful involvement in all aspects of peace and security efforts. Now you might ask, this is very difficult and very what's it called, value-laden job or aspects. So one method to distribute the values contained in the Women, Peace and Security agenda is through foreign policy, right? So this is how precisely several of nation states adopted Women, Peace and Security agenda. You might want to ask perhaps, why the USA, why Canada, why Australia concerned so much about this agenda? No other than because the values of global liberal values also shape the 4 pillars of Women, Peace and Security agenda. This actually a good thing, but also some points that invited critics from several scholars, which I will later explain. And then what is this pillars mean? It shows the global commitment, and since its launch in 2000, been further developed through subsequent UN resolutions, 10 UN resolutions to be precise, and has garnered widespread global commitments with over 80 countries. Perhaps now it's almost 150, if I'm not mistaken. You can see it in the website of the One Peace and Security, having developed national action plans to implement the agenda. This is not obligatory, So nation states may develop national action plan or may not. Is it not lower the standard, or it does not lower the credibility of nation if they do not put or interpret national action plan based on women, peace, and security, but it just shows countries who does not have national action plan also still show their commitment that could be characterized as part of the pillars of women, peace, and security agenda. And this discussion often came up between Indonesia's discussion at the regional level, but also at Asia Pacific level. As an example of the global commitment, Indonesia actively involved in the formulation of regional level women, peace, and security, Asian Regional Women, Peace, and Security Action Plan, regional action plan that was launched in 2022, I think. So I was involved in studying and formulating the ASEAN Regional Action Plan Women, Peace, and Security Studies in 2020, together with several other researchers from Indonesia and also from regional. And there were up to today in ASEAN, Indonesia is the second after the Philippines who formulated national action plan, and Indonesia had entered, I think, the mid implementation of national action plan second generation. The first was adopted and launched in 2014. It was funded by state budget, and we localized it. The title is National Action Plan on Women Empowerment, Child Protection, and Social Conflict. And we are now at the second generation of it. Several organizations now started to think of how to monitor its implementation, because monitoring and supervising is one of the lack aspects in terms of implementation of the agenda. However, we also think, as I witness the birth and also the implementation, minus and pluses, like positive and negative, what could we learn from the implementation so far? Indonesia still take a leading role in advancing UNSCR 1325 principles. Now, why I said so? Sometimes Global North scholars or academics or activists sees Indonesia as half-heartedly imply national action plan. That is not the case, not half-hearted. The international relations student might familiar with this norm localization, right? We do not want to put principles, or we do not want to support, or policymakers are reluctant to support particular convention at the global level if that is not made in accordance with the existing norms at the local. So this is localization. However, this could also be tricky, since sometimes the one in power interpret or localize global norm according to the interests. Hence, Acharya's theory on norm localization also consider the effect of crafting of the norm by the local elite, and also consider the local power relations. That's why in this context, the work from Aman Indonesia, the work from White Foundation, the work of several other local network of region action plan are crucial, because they could, as I mentioned earlier, as the theme of this event, propose and also exhibit their voices and their actions and their plans, which somehow could have differences with what the elites at the local or national level said. And this is very common in Indonesia's context of policy making and policy exercise or action. Next page, please. So now turn to the slide, this next slide, please. Yeah. So Indonesia's policy landscape. Now we come to how Indonesia's policy landscape understand and interpret the global norm, because this is very important. We cannot, again, as policymakers, as scholars, as activists, we cannot isolate ourselves from what is happening on the ground, meaning what is happening in Indonesia. You can't adopt international norm just like that and apply it in the national or local context. You can introduce the international or global norms to the national or local context and strategize on how to adopt and further to implement it, because it takes strategies. Remember in 1999, after years of painstakingly under authoritarian rule, Indonesia's national women's rights not institutionalized. Not until probably several months after 1999, that Indonesia has Komisi Nasional Hak Asasi Perempuan. Meaning there is this intersection between what is happening at the global and also what is happening at the national and local level. So this logic also apply in how Indonesian actors led by women, for instance, the Coalition Anti-Gender-Based Violence, whom initiated the first move to adopt Indonesia's version of 1325 National Action Plan. So, knowing this history, what are the key points on women's roles in peace building? And this is not only for Indonesia, but Indonesia's policy landscape facilitate this to come true, to eventually took place in the landscape of our policy history. First is transformative impact. So activists who supported the adoption of Indonesia's National Action Plan of 1325 see two aspects. First, the UN National Security Resolution 1325 with its 4 pillars has transformative impact. The history of the resolution itself was full by the women's initiatives, seeing their experiences during the post-Yugoslavia conflict, Serbia-Bosnia conflict, post-USSR and satellite countries conflict, the division of East and West Germany conflict, and so on and so forth. So these situations, the global conflict that affect women and children and sideline their voices in terms of conflict resolution, became the material basis of the formulation of the Resolution 1325. Hence, it said the pillars of SCR 1325 has transformative impact. What is exactly this transformative impact and on what point? The point is on women participation in peace building, which is crucial for achieving sustainable peace and fostering inclusive societies. So as an academic, we could also look into several studies, early studies, that see on the difference between peace arrangement or peace pacts that comprises of women's meaningful participation and not conducive to or not included women's participation and women's voice. If we look into Indonesia's history with peace agreement, for instance, 2006 Helsinki Accord that ended Aceh conflict did not have much of women's voice. And that became sort of critic. I think our distinguished colleague from University of Queensland, Professor Katrina Liku, also wrote a story of how Indonesia's women peace and security in the context of Aceh post-tsunami. If anyone interested, I could also send the material to you. So women's voice in terms of being part of the resolution become part of the source of transformative impact. Why it is important? Because they have burdened from daily activities, everyday realities during conflict or during peace times. They could also have authorities on behalf of their body, on behalf of the family, and also as part of the society. Hence, the importance of taking in women voices in any resolution, in any peace negotiation, is lies in their voices, because they experience and they could also speak on behalf of the affected community as leaders, as also their male leaders. Oh, if I speak too fast, just can, online audience and also offline audience can just please slower. So Indonesian policy landscape facilitated, but also included the National Action Plan on Indonesia's localization of home peace and security in the conflict prevention. In this aspect, I've also witnessed, and several studies also had discussed, that women play a vital role in preventing conflicts by addressing root causes and promoting dialogue and reconciliation. We had a study in 2011 that mapped out to what extent women had involved in past conflict resolution post democratization in Indonesia, for instance. It's quite concerning at the time because, for instance, in terms of Malino 1 and Malino 2 conflict resolution, only very few, less than 5 women involved that on behalf of Christian and Muslim community, for instance. Whereas the Aceh conflict only invited participation of Ms. Sadia Marhaban, who is now in AIPR. Sadia was as a advisor of the Gerakan Aceh Merdeka. However, Aceh history was full of women's meaningful participation in the form of local organizations like Liga Inung Aceh, Balai Syura Inung Aceh, and several other groups that were not present during the formal negotiation in Helsinki due to the complexities of entanglement between actors in conflict, especially the government of Indonesia and the Aceh Merdeka group. So in terms of policy, we put the National Action Plan for Empowerment Child Protection as our localized version of National Action Global Resolution of 1325, and we put them as part of the conflict prevention. So we can say that National Action Plan of Empowerment Child Protection and Child Protection in Social Conflict operationalizes UNSCR 1325 domestically. It brings two main aspects, protection and empowerment, outlines strategies for women and children in conflict, and also it brings several of matrices of action on the decision-making aspect to promote women's participation in decision-making. So if you look into a Ministry of Women Empowerment Child Protection's website and you find the products, you would find the archive from 2014, 2019, the first generation of Indonesian National Action Plan, and then 2019 to 2025, the second generation of Indonesian National Action Plan. And then you could also follow how they implement or what are the challenges from the Asian Muslim National Network website, because as a partner of the ministry, they always also bring advices and also voices from the local level to complement what the ministry has done at the national level. Next slide, please. Now, when we're talking about roles, the history of Indonesia's involvement of women-led civil society organization quite actually vibrant and recorded. And this is showing us that changes are possible and that women-led civil society organization, their voices, their actions, their outreach with global, up to the global level. Excuse me, I would like to stand up a bit. I had spent 8 hours waiting for the plane, that's why. So advocacy organization info, there are 3 aspects that I put here. So Indonesia had, what is it called, a meaningful and engaged in extensive advocacy for women's roles in peace building through governmental bodies, UN civil society organization, and international forums. So not only in Indonesia, but at the regional and international forum, we were quite active, especially not only because it was under Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Retno Marsudi, the first and I hope not the only woman minister of Foreign Affairs, because we always led by women in terms of peace building most of the time. Organizations like Koalisi Anti-Gender-Based Violence, Aman Indonesia, and then Komnas Perempuan, Libu Perempuan, Suara Perempuan Papua, and several others, although in a different time space, in a different location, somehow had some intersections in terms of the ideals, norms, reflecting the National Action Plan. When the National Action Plan was launched, there were some meetings in Jakarta and several other cities that symbolizes the connections and the norm crafting by local actors. This story might be different from what I understood as women peace and security adoption in Thailand. Maybe later Dr. Ampon will inform you about that, but also in the Philippines that also shared partly the conflict background like Indonesia. Indonesian civil society actors also extended their network with the international actors, both at the country level like Canada, Australia, United States, but importantly also with the superstructure organization like United Nations entities. UN Women, United Nations, what's it called? Family and Population, UNFPA, was the first organization, UN agency, that supported our Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection during the first initial adoption of this resolution back in 2007. It took 7 years for us to develop this international action plan. And there were quite controversial or like what debates among actors, the security sector actors at the policymaker level, but also among the civil society actors themselves. And thus only add to the strength of the credibility of Indonesia's National Action Plan. I don't think we only copy and paste what the UNSCR 1325 declared back in 2000, but we contextualize, like Ruby mentioned in her website, I think. She mentioned we do not copy and paste, but we contextualize, and I also wrote in my dissertation, we contextualize, we colloquialize, because we did not do that. If we did not do that, we might alienate ourselves with what is taking place on the ground. Not always suitable, right? So partners like UN Women, USAID, AUSAID, the Canadians, ASEAN, IAPR, and several others organizations, always in terms of having conversation with Indonesian actors. And for the Global South activists and for the Global South scholars, this is very important because we do not want to be seen as a copycat of global norms, right? We want to make sense of the norms. We want to accommodate it. We want to see what good it can bring to the advancement of women and children of the minority in Indonesia. So this is how I understand localization, norm localization is. Of course, we also might want to be aware of the fragility or the vulnerability of actors, especially in terms of the position at the power holders, at the power holders. Next slide, please. Okay. Women participation in peacekeeping, I'll just because apparently that is very small. Could you zoom it perhaps? Nggak bisa di zoom? Okay. It's okay. So other than our position in the conflict prevention and through national policy by the coordinating Ministry of Society Empowerment, Kementerian Koordinasi Pemberdayaan Masyarakat dan Kebudayaan during this time. The Ministry of Empowerment Child Protection is under the coordinating Ministry of Empowerment and Culture, right? But our other dimension of SCR 1325 lies in our participation in peacekeeping as peacekeeper. So Indonesia had sent peacekeepers since 1958. It's quite long. What was the norm? No other than the paragraph 4 of our fourth amended constitution as part of the country or nation who wanted to see the global peace, right? And Indonesia, during Minister of Foreign Affairs, had pledged, I think it started during President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono campaign, and he also established the United Nations Training Center for the military in Sentul and also the police. I think it came later in Serpong. So Indonesia always has commitment to increase women participation in United Nations peacekeeping missions. This is also an articulation of the participation pillar of the SCR 1325 and recognizing the unique contribution to community engagement and conflict resolution. For example, female peacekeepers have played key roles in mediating between conflicting parties and addressing gender-based violence in conflict zones. So if you ask one of the peacekeepers, perhaps sometimes visit Universitas Brawijaya could invite one or two peacekeepers, to give a lecture because they are very good. I mean, telling stories on how women soldier as part of PKO mission should have, the similar strength and also capacity as their male counterparts in doing peacekeeping operation. So our role is troop center country, one of the biggest, and in that specific duty, the role is also one of them, facilitating dialogue between conflicting parties in the conflict zone. We also addressing and preventing violence against women and girls as part of our roles in the destination country. In practice, the peacekeepers also part of the community engagement method, building trust and understanding with local population. So if you see several news or articles about Indonesia's PKO, and you may find what would be the difference between male and female PKO. These are actually the basic, but it is considered by several studies that women PKO or female PKO has gendered ability, to recognize impact of GBV and also in terms of community engagement with the conflict affected community. Next slide, please. This is an example of my current study with Monash Gender Peace and Security Center, starting in 2023. We studied in several countries. You may click this. Yeah, you can try to click that link, the blue one. And the topic of our study, and then it will open a link. So this is the topic. The topic is advancing the meaningful participation of women in UN peace operation by supporting personnel with caring responsibilities. So what can you tell from this title? Meaning, researchers of the study wanted to see to what extent PKO officers with caring responsibilities are still being part of the mission, still receiving benefits equally as the male counterpart in peacekeeping missions, and so on and so forth. And there is no discriminative over UN peacekeeping operation policy toward men or women with caring responsibilities. Caring responsibilities meaning not only in terms of being mother, being father, but also perhaps as PKO officers, you have to take care of elderly at home. So there should be the policy in the mission should facilitate also instead of discriminate people with this responsibility. And by this perspective, it could advance or it could fulfill the pillar of meaningful participation as part of SCR 1325, Women Peace Security. So you might go and visit this blog. We had launched our 4 outputs for our output. You can go scroll down. So there are several languages and this is according to the country destination of the study, in English, in Bahasa Indonesian, in Hindi, because we had also country study in India. We had country study in several African countries, including CAR, Republic Congo, and several other countries. So you may find the findings, policy briefs, concept notes, and also a specific literature review about this study, which may help you if you want to find a topic skripsi, perhaps. Yeah, this is a very good source for you to study more about international relation, how we see peacekeeping, country studies, and so on and so forth. Free download everything. So this is the first year, and the second year we will launch. We will produce the journal based on our first year findings. Okay, we may back to the PowerPoint. Okay, next slide, PowerPoint. Yeah. Okay, so this is, ya bisa dibesarkan. So this is in my office at the first. We invited several of the women military peacekeeping operation peacekeepers. We also invited Colonel Ratih, the first Indonesian peacekeeper female officer from the armed forces, from the Air Force, and several other from the armed forces. I think all of the forces and the military presented there, including ones who will be deployed and one who just returned. And at the second picture was my focus group discussion with police, PKOs at the Pusat Misi International Poly, just near my house, 30 minutes drive from my house to the location. It was very interesting conversation there. So what I could say is that Indonesian female peacekeepers play a crucial role in UN peacekeeping operations, contributing to gender mainstreaming and enhancing mission effectiveness with their capacity, capability, and so on and so forth. Their involvement includes skill building activities, trust building with refugees, and support for gender-based violence victims. But despite being one of the most significant contributors of female peacekeepers globally, Indonesia faces challenges such as social stigmatization and the need for spousal consent. The need for spousal consent is debatable if it is impeding or supporting, because it somehow could supporting, but also in particular condition could also impede a career advancement. This is, I quote several conversations with some of the PKU officers themselves. The deployment of female peacekeepers serves Indonesia's national interests, including diplomatic goals and promoting peace. And they are instrument of peace, we can say that. To increase female participation, the Indonesian government is developing strategies to enhance their roles and capabilities with several program, training, career advancement, and so on. Female peacekeepers have influenced peace-building processes, particularly in implementing mandates and supporting programs like demilitarization, demobilization, and rehabilitation, and also civic military communities, CIMIC. Their involvement aligns with UNSCR 1325, emphasizing the importance of women's contribution in conflict and post-conflict situations. And then the most recent contribution in line of the peacekeeping mission is our contribution in formulation of SCR 2538 that call for the increase of women's role in peacekeeping missions and participated in attempts to reform the governments of UN peacekeeping forces. So other than become a good country that send, that also because it bring benefits to the soldiers who were sent abroad, right? As of April 30, 2023, the total number of Indonesian PKO officers was 2,711, with only 118 women, right, and 2,593 men. So you might ask, why the gap is so high? We can ask our current president, but also Panglima TNI, why the gap is very huge. No other than because of the recruitment level, number, frequency of women into the military rank and also the police rank. Okay, next slide, please. So what can we learn from those pictures, right? We had followed from my explanation the policy level, but also the exercise operationalization level in sending troops abroad. So Indonesia, if I can say, the interpretation of Indonesian National Action, Women Peace and Security applies in two conditions, at the national and also at the global level. Global level by sending troops, at the national level by applying National Action Plan for Women Empowerment Child Protection. So those could be calculated as strategies for integrating women that can also apply in two strategies: quotas and representation, and meaningful participation. We had seen the meaningful participation. Those two examples that I explained before, also accompanying the formal quotas and representation system that was adopted in Indonesia. What does it mean? Implementing quotas or reserving seats for women in peace negotiation, other than 30 affirmative action at the political party, at the parliament, and also at the executive, but also at peace negotiations, ensures their representation. For example, constitutional amendments and peace agreements can mandate minimum female representation and decision-making bodies. This sounds not too good, but it is true that, and in line with the aim of our development, national development, actually, to have more women empowered in policy making. And again, meaningful participation is quotas must be complemented by initiatives that enable women to participate meaningfully in peace process. Challenges and barriers. Next slide. So what are three biggest issues here? Expertise and experience, advocacy and mobilization, and bridging civil society and government. These are the roles, right? And several mechanisms. And the bridging, as the title also entails, NGOs can act as a bridge between society and government, facilitating dialogue, sharing information, and building trust. This collaborative approach can enhance the effectiveness of policy implementation and ensure that the needs of local communities are addressed. So there is no way we could, the government sideline civil society's role, including for the particular aspects like peacekeeping operations, security sector reform. Civil society's voices and role are quite credible there back in 1990s, 1998. NGOs also play a crucial role in advocating for the implementation of women peace and security agenda, as we witness today. And also NGOs often possess deep expertise and on-the-ground experience in issues related to women's rights, conflict resolution, and peace building. Next. So what are the outcomes and impact? The next slide. Oh, sorry. We had done this. Next slide. Sorry. This should not be here. So critics. Okay. Now this is important. Critics from the Global South. So I started with our practices and experiences. But those practices and experiences actually came from or inspired by several of these critics, or at least some of the scholarly critique toward national action, women peace and security had been voiced by several of the scholars. First, women peace and security agenda was said to be reflecting a northern-centric perspective, overlooking the agency and contribution of certain actors, according to Basu and Parasar. And they come from scholars from India. And what do they mean by that? Because if not only pay attention to, for instance, feminist roles there, not paying attention to the traditional roles of women as a part of the community, as ulama, for instance. Different perspective in understanding what are the traditional religion in the Global South communities, for instance. And they could also be part of National Action Plan of Women Peace and Security. Instead of marginalizing them, constantly criticize their position as part of the moral authority in the society, better engage them in the practice, like what Indonesian had exemplified with the role of KUPI, Komunitas Ulama Perempuan Indonesia, Aliansi Masyarakat Muslim Indonesia, Aliansi Progresif, and so on and so forth. As part of the example on how we could see beyond, the traditional roles, but we, to some extent, we had, adjusted or improvised the traditional authority roles, and we claim that as part of the participation element of women, peace, and security. The critics also see that limited impact of resolution at local levels and its failure to address complex histories of political violence rooted in colonial encounters. So for you students of advanced international feminists and decolonization, this is particularly important element because you needed to see, you needed to understand, you needed to include the local histories before you do or practice or implement adopting a particular global norms into the local condition. You need to see, like at the moment, for instance, me and several colleagues at BRIN, we try to look into what is the colonization in terms of foreign policy between Indonesia and Timor-Leste. Aside from the global curse against Indonesia with regard to past involvement in Timor-Leste, understandably, currently, we are one of the biggest trading partner with Timor-Leste. We also had exchanges in terms of scholars and academics to learn from Timor-Leste's reconciliation. And that is actually how the colonization take place. We also acknowledge our past cruel history in terms of annexation in Timor-Leste. We do not need the global north to taught that to us, but we come into the realization that we could perhaps building a future more constructive dialogue with our friends in Timor-Leste, but still recognizing that Indonesia once had, mistakes, a huge mistake made in Timor-Leste, and they also have absolute rights to document what was the past like and how it shaped how Timor-Leste people see us Indonesians. Although not all Indonesians agreed with the violence in Timor-Leste. So this is the logic of, I think, critical decolonization. So we try to develop this concept along with our understanding in implementation of Indonesia's National Action Plan. Another example of what Parasar and Langdon mentioned is the implementation of national action plans in South America that reveals a tendency to emulate traditional peace and security frames that may not align with local realities. So approached local realities from the policy concept and implementation might be harmful for the local actors and local communities that might be affected by the policy themselves. So how to find example like this in Indonesia? You may want to visit Aceh perhaps, or you may want to visit Sulawesi, for instance, or East Java that had documented regional action plan of women's and security conflict, women and child protection, and to see what sort of implementation took place by the matrices of activities. This critique actually also became part and parcel of recent initiative to have a national level and local level focus group discussion to formulate initiation of Women, Peace and Security Index for Indonesia, which will be held soon in Jakarta and in Surabaya. So critics, existing policy, implementation, critics, and what to do after critic is one of the, process as part and parcel of Indonesia's implementation of women, peace and security. Despite these critics, however, some acknowledge that UNSCR 1325 has made protective improvement and contributed to gender mainstreaming in international institutions. So, of course, there need to be a critics, because without critics, there will be no way forward. There will be no room for improvement. There will be no self-reflection. And then next slide. This is last slide, I hope. Yes. So what could we see for the future direction for women peace and security initiatives? First thing is continued advocacy and resource allocation are crucial for overcoming structural barriers and ensuring the sustainability of women's peace and security initiatives. Now, this might be sugary or flowery words, but this is the reality. Somehow, actors could act independently from the state, from the donors, but what they need is to still clearly see what they want to do and what they want to actualize in terms of implementation of women's peace and security. And the second is we could see still the capacity building as part of the essential aspect for empowering women and organizations to effectively participate in peace building processes. So you might ask, where is the end of women peace and security agenda? So you should go back to the 4 pillars and see if those have been achieved, right? And the last is Indonesia's leadership in the women peace and security agenda serve as a valuable model for other nations seeking to promote gender inclusive peace and security frameworks. If we not 100% achieve this, but we had distributed, we had grown the seed, we had many connection networks locally, nationally, and globally. Thank you very much.
Yes, give applause to Ms. Iren. Thank you, Ms. Iren, for your comprehensive insight about the role of women in peace building. Now we begin to second speaker. Please welcome Dr. Ampon Marden, who joined us from Tamsat University via Zoom. Are you with us, Dr. Ampon? Can you?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
Can you hear clearly?
Okay, thank you. The time is yours, Dr. Ampon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Actually, this is a great opportunity to join again with friends, professor, colleagues, including the students at Malang, which I was there about 6 years ago, I think. That was a block course regarding peace building as well. But the students have changed. I see the atmosphere that posts over Facebook page by our sister, Dr. Irin. The environment, the scenes in the university, which is always nice and warm right there. So I have a I like to start my talk in a very simple way, and I like to make it short because I like to hear as well from what the student today think about the issue, including the experience, your thoughts, right? So just go with the PowerPoint that probably it would help a bit. It would help the students, including the audience, to follow up. I would not be able to connect very much the situation of women, peace and security in Thailand with Indonesia, but actually I learned a lot from Indonesian friends as well as different other experts in different other regions and countries. I'd like to start by sharing with all of you the situation that actually had been occurred in 2017 when there was a big bomb blasting in a shopping area, which is called Big C Department Store in Pattani. Pattani is located in the deep south of Thailand in Pattani province. Probably some of you heard about the conflict, which is taking place in Thailand for about 2 decades. And the last October, about 2 months ago, there was a big issue when many of Pattani people, including friends from all over the globe, especially in central Thailand, participate by supporting the victims and families victims who were violated during Takbai incident when the issue is going to be out of date according to the court issue. Related with this situation, you may see different other pictures. Apart from the department store, things were destroyed. as well as people who were in the scene, right, in the events. On the left-hand side up there, there's a picture of people who were injured. They are women as well, young people, the student, including different other civilians who were the victims of this event, of this incident, I mean. When we talk today about women, peace, and security, this is an issue. And I do not want to claim myself as an expert, but thanks to Aman and the university to just give this kind of what we call like piece of notion that we are expert. But while we call ourselves as expert, we also learn from different people who are not only the scholars, the CSO members, but there are people who are living within the conflict and who are trying hard in their life to survive. As Dr. Irene mentioned several times about what is UNSCR 1325, why the WPS is important, I just want to review, actually just go through it because Dr. Irene kindly shared with us what does it mean, what is how important of the 4 pillars of 1325, which is a crucial point of this global framework that apply in different countries. Unfortunately, in Thailand, we are not yet have implemented 1325. It is in the process of draft again and again, which is difficulties as well for people who are living in the area of conflict. Apart from people who are waiting for this kind of what we call the mechanism that would help, especially the locals who are living in the local in the conflict context, would benefit. It doesn't mean they benefit from being the victimized, but would benefit from this kind of global framework. But at the same time, this kind of global framework needs to be more localized. One of a crucial point is the 1325 or Women, Peace and Security agenda. It is focused specifically on the inclusion of women in the peace process, in the conflict resolution, and in the security process. We may see this kind of what we call the agreement when we in the situation of ceasefire or the war is about to over. There are so many experts, there are so many VIP people who come to the scenes and do kind of handshaking and make an agreement, or having the ceremony where the parties of the conflict sign the agreement and followed by photo of group photo with handshaking, which means this is a symbol of violence stop or over. But at the same time, if we review the situation either in Aceh, in Mindanao, or different other places, there are not so many women involved with this mixing. But at the same time, women are there, right? In the conflict, women are the people who work very hard on the ground with young people, with different other stakeholders. So the women in peace process is not that easy. From what I have observed and from what I have learned, it's kind of not direct line, but there are so many turning issues, the curve and the struggling. One of the process of peace, when we call women to be part of the process, we recognize from the studies in the South, including the lesson learned in Pakistan when they conducted research 5 years ago in Aceh, in the Philippines, including all over the country in Thailand, when we have the program, research project, with different other ASEAN countries, let's say, because ASEAN IPR support this program, and we just submit the report a few days ago, and there's going to have ASEAN IPR is going to have the implementation program. Of course, ASEAN IPR is part of ASEAN entity, and the institute also need to learn, including make collaboration with different other stakeholders, particularly with friends in Indonesia when ASEAN office is there. One of the major concerns that we found out in the research is gender justice, how to make gender as the core concept to establish peace agreement within the whole process. So this is a key question for today's discussion. And I try to find out how gender justice could be exist where it is already mentioned. I mean, where's the text already mentioned about gender justice when the situation of conflict is in the community, which the Muslim is the majority or the dominant population. And we found out from the study in Pattani, including different other provinces around. When I call Pattani, I cover Pattani province, Yala province, Narathiwat province, including 4 districts in Songkhla province next to Pattani, next to Pattani province. In this area or Pattani region, that I mentioned, the conflict taken place for about 20 years. And there are so many programs from the government, from different CSO, NGO works along the side, including the ideas of women, peace and security promoted by UN Women, as well as the scholars, but it's not yet widely discussed like in Indonesia or in the Philippines, I mean in the whole region. And then we try to, when I say we, I mean not only me, but friends who are working in the area of women, peace and security, as well as my research team, we try to identify the synergies of gender justice, women in peace process, what is the role of women in peace building. So we start by providing a question, what is the controversial is religions. It's not only Islam, but of course there are different other religions, whether Islam is the majority of the belief system in Pattani region. We also have friends from Buddhist community, from Christianity, including from Hindus, and etc. So what kind of belief that have long been recognized among the believers in this community, and then how it is impact or powerful towards people's life, and how it could be a tool or a medium to promote women in dialogue, in peace process, in nonviolence, in gender justice, including in conflict resolution. And in the research, we focus on the discipline, how it is established, how it is stated, how it is going into from one place, from one scholars into different other followers. What kind of ideas people absorb and feel like we have to be obedient on that, and what sort of sharing of the personal and social responsibility of people in conflict zone. So we try to start by identifying the synergy of this. And we also try to put a framework after we have a framework of the study, go from one side to another. We travel to the north of Thailand, especially at the border area between Myanmar and Thailand, which is called Mesod, where there are so many diverse civilians background, including the migrants. We went to the northeast, where the conflict is in another format. It's on environmental conflict and land management. When women involved very dramatically, as well as fighting for their own rights to own the land. And this kind of fighting is between the women's group, the local, the villagers, and then they call for the rights to own the land from the government, so against the government policy to eradicate that kind of ownership. We found out there are so many intersectional factors that we have to concern when we conduct the research, when we learn from the communities, especially with women who work very hardly, very constructively in the field. We found out the issues of economic is very important. It's at the shoulders of women who are working on peace process. We talk about humanitarian assistance that come from different sides, not only from the government, but also from the community. We discuss what is security. This is a security of the state, or this is a human security, and how it works in the community when the conflict is between the government party and the civilian or representative of fighting groups or separatist groups. And we talk as well how to understand the political participation and good governance. We highlight the issues of human rights, justice, and reconciliation within the community. So we come up with the key ideas that could help us to understand and provide the next step of implementation, as well as promote 1335, which is unfamiliar language. Because 1335 is about things from outside of Thailand. And women groups in Pattani, including different other part of the country, would not be able to understand from that kind of technical terms. But when we translate into the action, when we have the dialogue with women's group, they already did this and that, which means that 1325, which is international mechanism, already taken place in the region, especially in Pattani. So we found out there are different other key ideas, but I just bring 4 ideas. The first one is gender-specific impact of conflict. We learned that the conflict affects women, men, young people, gender diverse individuals differently, which means that there are so many gender identity, people who involved in peace and conflict resolution. They come from different gender identities and sexual identities, particularly when they also confront with violence from the culture of they themselves, especially from the authority, people who have authorities. We also involve people who are displaced. We also would like to see how the gender-specific impact of the conflict, that people can get access to resource. Because women are faced with the increased risk of sexual and gender-based violence. We found out the cases of domestic violence during and in the process of conflict, after conflicts in the north, in the northeast of Thailand. This because women represent the collective position in social thoughts. And being the minority within the minority, we talk about the conflict where women are affected, right? Either in the northeast of Thailand, in the north, and in the south, particularly in Pattani. Women are marginalizing, which means that the situation treated women lesser beings and relegating them, women, to the realm of intimate, the private, the particular, treating women as the minority. So women is part of the civilian or the people in the society, but the culture of women, the culture of the society recognize women as the minority, while in reality, women works very hard. Women work hard in the field, assisting different other groups of people, establish the movement of the violence, stop violence against women as well. The second key issue or the second key idea is that we try to analyze is women as the agent of peace, as I mentioned earlier, including what Dr. Irene talked about the recognition of women are very limited. Firstly, women were recognized as the victims, but women are also very active in participation to prevent the conflict and to find conflict resolution and recovery. So in diverse conflict zone, women are driving meaningful change in their own societies, including sharing their thoughts, their experience across over the region, across over the countries. What Dr. Irene mentioned about the experience of women who established Kupi. Friends in Pattani in Thailand also learned from the experience of women in Kupi movement, including different methods. Oh, okay. The third, I go back to that two slides that I skipped. The third key ideas would be intersectionality. We consider the overlap of identity because when we talk about conflict among women's conflict, when women are there and we try to see the reality when women engage already in peace resolution, we found out different other identities there, like race, ethnicity, class, religion, diverse religious belief, and sexual orientation. It's part of that overlapping identity. So we have to learn from women's in different experience within the security and conflict context, especially with the indigenous women who may face dual marginalization due to their ethnicity, due to their gender identity. The last point that I bring into this discussion is inclusivity. When 13W5, Women, Peace and Security agenda, emphasize on women inclusion with meaningful, right? So we attempt to provide the advocacy program, as well as there are so many programs that women work already on the ground. So we highlight the advocate and the advocation for meaningful participation and the right to make decision along with the peace process, not merely listen, not merely hand over the proposal to the authorities, but how to be part in the peace talk or peace table. So back to this slide, probably you may see the numbers of the percentage of women who were affected by conflict, living in conflict-affected countries. So we hardly avoid women participation because the experience very important. So the importance of women in full and equal participation in conflict resolution and peace building is there. We cannot deny from the fact, from the research, and from the grounded data. And if I would like to ask from all of you, probably a few of you could checklist, just open the mic and answer from your experience, from your knowledge. In which activities that women in your area, in your country already participate? What about starting from the first one, ceasefire? Is women there? Yes, right? Because the conflict in Aceh, for example, in Ambon, ceasefire, talking about ceasefire, the process of ceasefire, women is there, but more behind the scene, right? Or at the backside of people who support the ceasefire. Pre-negotiation, of course, there's a women as the technical supporting team, which we found out as well, women providing different data, different situation, building up people from different negotiating parties to be together. So women is there. Humanitarian assistance, of course, yes. Women support the community members, especially when we have the flood in Pattani region. Just lately, just last month, including a few days ago in the Upper South, where women have to work very hard as well, alongside with their counterparts, their community, the young people. The formal peace agreement in Mindanao, in the Philippines, yes, there are numbers of women who take part as representative in peace agreement. For example, Professor Miriam and friends in Mindanao. But in Aceh, probably yes or no, according to your reference, right? But if yes, it could be related with representative from GAM and representative from the government, just checklist again. In Thailand, we do not yet have peace agreement. Of course, during Yingluck Shinawatra, the younger sister of the former Thaksin Shinawatra, she is the one who participated within the peace talk, but it's not yet successful. It's in the process. After the coup, it going down again, and now the daughter of Thaksin Shinawatra stepped into the position of being prime minister. We following up the idea how Anwar Ibrahim appointed Thaksin Shinawatra as one of a key person who could be, he's in the position of being the consultant, the personal consultant for Anwar Ibrahim during a year that Malaysia is going to be the chief of ASEAN in 2025. So let's see the progression, whether the conflict in the region, especially in Myanmar, including the conflict in the deep south of Thailand, would be more advanced during this period of the chairmanship of Malaysia. Talking about the grassroots initiative, we see so many groups of women on the ground advocate for peace. It cannot be denied. The inclusive dialogue, it depends on the platform of the dialogue, right? We can checklist as well how many platforms that women involved in the peace process. What about shaping transitional justice in Aceh? I know there are so many groups of women involved, formally and informally, and it's also attached to criticizing the ideas of Sharia Islam, seeking recognition for victims, the issues of gender-based violence, and the reconciliation, including the peace reconstruction. So just would like to involve you to think more how women involved in the peace process. So just go on what I have prepared. Aside from the from those key ideas that we try to analyze from the research, from the implementation program, from gender and development research program, we still found out, even though there are so many challenges, there's a door, there's a window of the opportunities as well. The challenges would be cultural resistance towards women in participation in peace process. The second one is underfunding of gender-sensitive peace-building programs. There are few of funds supported by both government and non-governmental organizations on gender-sensitive peace-building activities, including the projects. There are so many projects and programs on peace building, but it's hardly to find the gender-sensitive peace-building projects that fund very sustaining, in a very big way, in a way that can sustain this kind of ideas. And there's a lack of representation of decision-making position. Of course, I mentioned that women in Thailand, especially from the Ministry of Justice, become a representative in peace talk, but she was a technical supporter. Year by years, she has experience, and then she stepped into more advanced position, but still she doesn't have the opportunity to make decision on her own. She has to go along with the team of peace negotiating. Aside from, there are so many problems and challenges, especially with the cultural resistance to bring women as part of peace negotiation, peace process. The opportunity is also open through the framework of 1325. As I mentioned that women peace and security agenda is not yet implemented in Thailand, but we have ISIDO, which is ratified by the government, especially when we go very carefully on Article 30, it emphasizes a lot on promoting gender equality in conflict zones. So the government needs to do on that very seriously, along with CSO and NGOs. And another kind of opportunity is that utilizing the technology. There are so many groups of NGOs from Bangkok, from other parts of the country, including in Pattani region, trying to amplify women's voice over social media. And they established a partnership in diverse stakeholders to sustain inclusive peace efforts. So this is an opportunity that we see apart from so many challenges. So where and when we can learn the WPS from? Of course, from different women peace builders who call for the rights of women to participate in peace process. And especially in the case when women since 2005 call for a safety zone in public arena, not only in Pattani, but also in Bangkok, from the picture at the right-hand side. There's so many forums as well. This kind of forum, Ruby Khalifa is also participate, Kak Shadia Marhaban and different other friends participate in Pattani, especially in the university, like what we are in now. We also highlight to work again, not only with the local organization, but also with international organization. We cannot dismiss the capacity of the government, but the government also need to get support from all of us. Otherwise, the policy would not be moved forward, right? So we talk about the key documents, research, project, reports. We go by proposing the policy change or the policy report, and then we dig out very crucial case studies, not only for UN agency, but also for different commissions, including Human Rights Commission in Thailand, Commissioner in Thailand. We talk about regional bodies, especially ASEAN, which is very crucial for all of us. Probably many of us will criticize that ASEAN would not have high capacity, but we cannot neglect as well when all of the state members, especially the representative from different Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and etc., united at least once a year or more than that. We have to take that kind of chance or opportunity to mobilize, to hand them the expertise or the representative in charge by their own countries to talk about concern more on the WPS framework, that how it would be mobilized, how it could be benefit to the government, not only for the civilians. It could also pave the way of peace process. We talk about NAP, National Action Plans, right? It's already mentioned a lot. And we highlight the capacity of the Ministry of Defense, apart from Foreign Affairs, especially in Indonesia, there's Ministry of Women, and like in many other countries, for example, in Laos, in Myanmar, there's Ministry of Gender and alike, to participate in workshop and training programs, apart from taking so many members of the community to understand women peace and security, but we need different groups of government staff, especially high ranking, to understand why it is important. And then we try to bring all of those kind of members of a workshop to understand what is the pursuit of justice, how to make things good, what is universality of the dignity, universality of WPS, why it is important to develop peacemaking from the local context, from local knowledge, and combine with international or universal mechanism. So it needs a lot of effort to make collaborative action and solidarity. So to succeed in a way of the right-hand side, when the arrows show the sacredness of human life. So we highlight that human being is very, you cannot just kill the opposite, the enemy, just because they are the enemy. But we also try to bring the issues from the sacred text as well, from the concern of the communities, from what the constitutional law highlight, human rights and human life. So we talk about peace and equality. Within equality, we also highlight gender equality. Talking about breaking people from high ranking, we also try to bridge with not only with ASEAN, but also with different other communities. The picture on the left-hand side is the picture in my class. Just this semester, I have a class on women, peace, and security, which is initiated just today, just this year, this semester, in Thammasat University. It was influenced by developing, when I was part of the people who learn as well as develop diploma programs with Maguindanao State University in the Philippines. And then I thought, okay, now we should start in Thailand as well to have the course first. And then we can think later on about the program on women, peace, and security. Students in Thammasat, basically from central Thailand. And they learn as well the issues of conflict in Pattani, including in Indonesia, Mindanao, and all over the globe. And then they reflect, they associate the issues of conflict, security to what they understood. And they share their thoughts, they share in a role play, and I invite different other scholars to participate in class, to be guest speakers. And it brings an environment of talking about gender sensitivity, gender inclusion, women participation in peace process. And there are so many formats, layers of peace process and conflict resolution from what the students concern and learn about. So I think educational institution is also a key platform as far as I learned from Mindanao, from Indonesia, from Thailand, by myself, by my course as well. Because university have the course, in many universities we can find the peace and conflict study programs, even though we also can find the course or the programs, even the degree on gender, feminism, things like that, including the security. So this is a crucial, very core and crucial space to talk about and remain the importance of women, peace, and security among academics. And those kind of academics also need to do dialogue with the students, including with civilians, with people on the ground, and then it remains there in the university. After graduation, the student will go for work, will go for their own career path or studies further. So they bring this kind of idea into their works, into their studies, into the community. We also need to work with the think tank or the research center in different organizations, in different universities as well. We need to remain working with the community-based organization or groups, especially those who are on the ground with the inside experience. And we need to publish. We need to make it more concrete in the format of documentation, for example, in journal, right? Or in different other formats of documentation, including with the media, with the online resources, which is very easy to take along with when you go for the field site, when you want to learn for a short period of time, for example, 3 minutes learning fast, learning very promptly on gender and women participation in this process. From the case study that I share with you, I know that there are so many aspects and approach that we can analyze and we can take it as a framework to study and move forward. But from the area that I work for long, and I still learn from the community members, including CSO and NGOs, it is about culture, how to bring the issues of culture. When we talk about culture, of course, in the area of conflict in Pattani region, the domination of Malay culture is there. How to make peace, right? How to do such kind of peace building process. We have to understand the Malay culture, including the influence of Islamization, which is very strong element of mobilizing or providing as the principal approach to the area of conflict. There are so many audience participants focusing on the text, especially the Quran. It is very difficult to work with religious leaders, but it is working, but it takes long journey. It takes a long step forward. Sometimes we have to step back, wait until the right time, and then we move a bit again, and then we move fast, and then we take a pause, and then we go again and again. So this is the strategy that we work with religious leaders. And we also analyze the sermon. We take the sermon from the community leaders, the khutbah, and we also try to discuss the idea of why don't you talk about the last sermon of the prophet, talking about justice, talking about the life of the companions, and women is also there. The women is not neglected during the prophetic time, especially during the last sermon of Prophet Muhammad. So the religious leaders in the community concerned, and then we have to work with the university in the south as well to at least mention again and again about the important part when women is already there, but how to have them as a meaningful participants, not just being as a number, or not just having women is part of the forum. We also try to learn from Malaysia and Indonesia in particular on Islamic peace-building principle, which is applied along with universal application on peace building. We try to draw from the objective and values and the purpose of Islamic framework. For example, justice or adl, which is a crucial element when the local discuss about the justice. What sort of justice that we are going to highlight in the community? We end actually from last workshop with closed workshop because there are so many sensitive points. And we talk about gender and Islamic ecosystem analysis in the field. We found out there are numbers of great, what we call great elements to analyze peace, which is already established in Islamic community, right? We talk about the diversity, and we mention and try to connect the ideas within the cultural value, within Malay values, as well as within what we have perceived as a tool that can bring the positive peace into the community. So I think I should stop here. I take about almost 40 minutes. It's over the time that the moderator mentioned. Apologies on that, but I'm very happy to learn and hear from all of you as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Dr. Ampon. Next, we have our third speaker, Ibu Meli. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Pak Niola. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Bu Iran, Dr. Iran, and Dr. Ampon Mandan. Long time no see. Yeah, today, I was asked to present about the topics that was given to me is promoting gender perspective in academic peace building initiatives and how to integrate gender sensitive frameworks, research, and leadership. I'm glad this is my part. So I will deliver my presentation based on our experience in international relations program in Brawijaya, Universitas Brawijaya. How we integrate these gender sensitive frameworks and research and community services with the gender perspective, and all are for promoting gender perspective in academic peace building initiatives. So next. Yeah, earlier we already learned from Dr. Iren and Dr. Ampon why gender perspective matters in peace building, and both are already deliver a very insightful um, presentation about how conflict affects men and women in different ways, and how women experiences in armed conflict and their contribution in peace are largely unrecognized and undocumented and unaccounted. And many women in many conflict areas are engaging within their communities in creative strategies to mitigate the impact of conflict, make and build sustainable peace. So next. So what are the roles of the academia? And we in the higher education in university, we have the responsibility in shaping future leaders and policymakers and generating evidence-based research to inform practices. And it's in line with our three responsibilities as we know here in Tridharma Perguruan Tinggi. We have the responsibilities in education, in research, and community service or community outreach. So this is what under these three responsibilities, we try to integrate this agenda, this gender perspective agenda, to support also the agenda of women, peace, and security. Next. So based on our experience, I try to connect it with our, I speak as, or not only as a lecturer, but also as a people, the person or the parties that's responsible in developing our curriculum in IR. And in our academic vision, this is our new academic vision. We just upgrade our update our curriculum last year. Our academic vision is developing international relation studies with local perspective through education, research, and community services to support the achievement of a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable society. And I already checked in several prominent universities and checked their academic visions, and maybe only 2 or 3 of our of their academic mission that it literally include peace, peaceful and peace agenda as their academic vision. I can only find in Gajah Mada University and also in Brawijaya in International Relations Department. And from this academic vision, we also try to profile our graduates from the IR in UB as a diplomat, as an analyst, as global industry actors, and as global activists. And Next. Based on our academic vision and based on the profile that we try to achieve, we try to design our learning outcome based on attitude, knowledge, skills, whether it's general skills or special skill. And as you can see, we have 7 learning outcomes. The first is able to internalize values, norms, ethic of peace, welfare, and sustainability from a local perspective in community and nationhood life. And in knowledge, we try to be able to master the empirical and theoretical aspect of international relations, able to compile ideas, concepts based on international relations research in various works, and try to give our students the skills to be able to apply logical, critical, systematic, and innovative thinking independently and collaboratively. And we also try to give them so they can be able to apply skill in diplomacy, negotiation, mediation, and then also can manage resources to provide added value to society and global industry. And the last one is to be able to design advocacy and community empowerment strategies. So based on these learning outcomes, we design our curriculum. We design our latest curriculum so our students can learn and achieve these learning outcomes. And next, what we were trying to do with these systems in higher education, including education, research, and then community services, and how we integrate gender perspective. You can see in our teaching context how we integrate gender sensitive frameworks in academic program. We develop gender specific courses in peace building studies. We have one course is gender in IR. We also incorporate case studies in women roles, in peace process, in several courses that we provide for the students. Gender issues in cross-cultural communications, gender issues in negotiation, gender in conflict and peace. All of them are courses that compulsory courses that should be taken by the students, and we integrate gender aspect in those courses. And we also train our faculty member on gender sensitive pedagogy. Some of our faculty member join the gender and IR epistemic community, and this epistemic community is one of the progressive and very active, and they have annually meetings, trainings, and they produce publication books and so many things annually. And by joining this epistemic community, some of our faculty member develop their capacities to teach and research with a gender perspective. And we also, and thanks to Aman Indonesia, actually we already have a long history of collaboration with Aman Indonesia since 2018, yeah. with Bu Rupi, and with our collaboration with Aman Indonesia, we also extend our networks with so many NGO, with so many parties. One of them is Mediators Beyond Borders, and with Mediators Beyond Borders International, we conduct workshops on dialogue and mediation. And we also engaging practitioners and academia from other university because we have 3-in-1 or praktisi mengajar program. So we can invite academia from foreign universities and practitioners in certain sectors, and they can deliver their lectures here for 3 until 4 meetings. So it's not only visiting or public lecture. So they really, really become our lecture and engage with our students more intensive. And we already invite Ibu Ruby also for what the name of the course ya Neni? Conflict resolution, conflict management and resolutions. And we also invite Holly Leho. She's from the CCHN, Center on Competence for Humanitarian Negotiators. And she teaches our students on negotiation courses based on her experience in helping China government to give aid during the pandemic to Myanmar. So our student learn how to prepare a negotiation, how to identify actors in negotiation from the practitioners. So earlier this morning when Dr. Iran arrived, Dr. Iran asked me, so what can we do together? So this is one of the example that we can do together. We can invite practitioners, as you mentioned. Maybe we can invite the peacekeepers, women peacekeepers. So and our student can learn from her the experience of women peacekeepers. We also invite Dr. Ampon Martin, also in 3-in-1 program in peace studies course. And we also invite Sadia Marhaban. Sadia Marhaban. Last semester, she stayed for a week here, and she taught 6 classes of our negotiation courses. This is what we can do in integrating gender perspective in teaching. And we have the opportunities of engaging practitioners and academia, other academia from other universities. So our student can learn not from us, their lecturer, but also from other academia and from the practitioners. Next. And the second one is how we conduct research and integrating gender perspective on our research and mentoring research on women's roles. And what you can see in my presentation, this is the roadmap of research from our academic, our study program. So we have 5 compartments. We have international security and peace. We have diplomacy and foreign policy. we have international development, we have transnationalism, and international political economy. And this roadmap was designed based on our faculty members' track records in research and in teaching. And one of our compartment literally mentioned women in peace and security is one of the research interests of our faculty member. Next. So if you these are the example of research that are already published in a journal, national and international, with the topics of the impact of conflict on crisis on women and girls, highlights the women contribution in peace process on how they deal with the crisis, and gender perspective in post-conflict construction and development. And if you look closer on the PowerPoint, you can see that those who research on these topics, not only several or only certain of our faculty members. Our faculty members, male and female, they have interest also in conducting research with genders perspective. And you can see in our social media, in Instagram, or in our website, you can find this publication written by our faculty members that also that integrate gender perspective in their research and publications. Next. And the third responsibility, and the third of our responsibility in community services, we have the theme of global citizenship education as the big theme of our individually community services. And some of us already conduct community services under the peace education theme, and for teacher and students, and it's already conducted for several years. And some of our community services program also integrating gender perspective. Like in 2022, we have Brawijaya Virtual Peace Camp. Yeah, we have this peace camp for 3 years online, virtual, because of the pandemic. But we managed the virtual peace camp, and the participation of the participants are very, we are happy with the result of this community services, online community for services. And in 2022, we have a Brawijaya Virtual Peace Camp that try to address the issue of gender-based violence. And this is our community services is we have a very long history on how we try to have this global citizenship education as the theme of our community services. And because each of our faculty members has different interests, some of us have the interest on violent extremism, some of us has interest in environment, in water management, we have so many themes and topics in community services, and we try to elaborate them in one topics as a global citizenship educations. And this is also that we develop our networks and collaborations. We have one um, collaboration with ASEANet. This is a consortium of urban development in Southeast Asia, and this is the we have also community services program with these networks, and we have one sites in Songoriti, that we try to accommodate the theme of youth peace and security in Songoriti. Yeah. That what we already conduct in community services. Next. Yeah. So we also try to fostering discussion on equitable leadership. We know that equitable leadership matters. Diverse leadership styles promotes innovation and inclusivity. Equitable leadership models crucial for lasting peace. How how academia can contribute? We mix. We conduct a lot of workshop, seminars, conference, and in 2000, for example, in 2019, we had collaboration with Aman Indonesia, also conducted IPBF Indonesia Peace Builder Forum, and we invite 300 participants from almost 29 countries. They are gathered in Malang. They were gathered in Malang, and discussion. We have discussion. We have panels in so many topics uh, under the theme of violent extreme. How we integrate women and gender in preventing violent extremism. Okay. And we also establish mentorship program, pairing students with female leaders in peace building. We have internship with, we send our student to Aman Indonesia, to Setara Institute, to many of our partners that works in gender issues. In Malang, we also have collaboration with KPUK, not KPPU, KPUK, and also Women Crisis Center. And we also send our student there to do their internship so they can learn from the practitioners. Next. So yeah, we also face challenges, yeah, in our effort to integrate gender perspective in our academic frameworks. So yeah, traditionally, the lack of gender diversity in academia and peace building effort. Uh, as I mentioned earlier, that we have a gender and IR epistemic community in Indonesia, and only one male become the member of this gender and IR epistemic community. And we also face the challenge, cultural and institutional resistance to gender focused program. And the last The other, and this is also important, is the problem of gender-based violence in higher education. This is the issues that we face for the last couple of years and become our concern, how the sexual violence happen in the university, in higher education. And we have the regulation from the ministry, we have the regulation from our universities, and we still have concern because the reports keep coming to the university about cases in sexual violence. But we also see that we have opportunities, that we have this Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka, MBKM, that become the policy of our Minister Education. This is a chance for our student to gain hands-on experience by learning directly in the field. So they have the opportunity to learn from the practitioners and learn longer, not only in the internship, because they can learn everywhere and from the variety of the MBKM program, whether it's research, independent studies, internship, student exchange. We can recognize their study everywhere, as long as they spend more than 860 hours, and we can recognize their studies and become their learning experience. And this is also the chance for students to learn from different area studies, because we cannot limit it there. We cannot limit their opportunities, because they can learn everywhere, as long as it's in line with our profile, graduate profile. We are supposed to recognize their learning experience. And we also have the opportunities for our faculty members, because we have several program initiated by our university, like dosen berkarya or dosen bekerja di luar kampus. The university recognizes as our performers. So this is opportunities for our lecturers to use their expertise in practical work. And almost all of our faculty members now works as consultant in Bapenas, in GIZ, in Stara Institute, or several of our faculty member also build their own activities outside campus. They have their own NGOs, they have their own institution, and contribute to the society through this institution. And yeah, this is what we can also contribute. And like one of our faculty member, Pak Aswin, who works for Bapenas and GIZ, he works on the what do you call the project that how integrate women engineer. Yeah, I forgot the exact but the project also brings gender equality and gender perspective that needs Pak Aswin expertise as a consultant in this project. And we also build partnership. We have the wide opportunities to build partnership with NGO, which focus on peace initiatives. We have collaboration with Aman. We have MOU with Setara Institute, Nawangulan, Jakarta Group. We also have MOU with Watchdog, yeah, not Dog. With what's DOC, not DOG. And we also have collaboration with IAPIKA. And these collaboration provide the opportunities for students and also for our faculty member to learn more from the practical field. Next. So what to do next? So we probably need to measuring the impact of what we already initiate in teaching, in research, and in community services. We have to know how to make sure that the enrollment in gender focused courses are increased and its impact, and how the publication of gender sensitive research in high impact journals increasing through the years, and the growing number of women leaders and women agency roles within the peace building initiatives. Next. Yeah, the direct feedback mechanism that we usually have in our universities. We have feedbacks from students regularly. In gender and IR course, we usually open 3 classes, sometimes more, of gender and IR. So it indicates that the interest of our students in gender issues and gender perspectives are quite quite big, yeah. And maybe we also we will have the research on how how female researcher have the equal opportunities or equal roles, yeah, in producing knowledge, just as the research that conducted by Ella Syahputri Prahatini and Wendy Prajuti from the Muhammadiyah University Jakarta and from BINUS. This is a very interesting research that shows that male dominance in scientific publications. And the research also shows that there's a lack of research collaboration among male and female researcher. And the study also find that the English language articles are written more by male than female. And the last finding is female researchers are present in security issues, but male researchers ignore gender and environmental issues. This is also maybe become the feedback mechanism to, yeah, give us inputs, how far our initiation, how far our effort in as an academia in higher education can contribute to raise gender awareness, to raise gender sensitivity, to integrate gender perspective in whatever development program, whatever development project have been conducted. And the last one is this is the one that we are trying to do now, is how we check the growing number of women agency roles within peace building initiative. We track our alumni regularly. Every 3 months, we have the alumni tracking from Tracer Studies, but so far our Tracer study doesn't accommodate the needs to divide um, male and female numbers, and we cannot track how many women, how many female alumni, and how many male alumni. They're just numbers without those division. But we might be need to have the mechanism to track our alumni, to monitor the career impact that they pursue. Yeah. That also maybe contribute to gender issues, contribute to gender perspective, and how our how their experience in our during their study in our program, in our study program, has affected their career in after they graduate. That this is maybe the feedback mechanism that we need to develop as to make sure that what we already done in campus relevant to the real world. So, Dr. Iran, this is this that I can present in this occasion, that maybe this can open the opportunity for Brawijaya University and Aman Indonesia and BRIN, maybe in what areas that we can collaborate further to raise our to promote gender perspective using the academic peace building initiatives. I think that's all that I can deliver. Maybe we can start with a question and answer session. I hope I can have feedbacks from this forum. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Yeah, give applause to Bu Meli. Thank you, Bu Meli, for your insightful presentation. Now we have a Q&A session. We have 10 minutes to open Q&A session. Maybe the participant will join us both on online or offline. You can ask your question to our speaker. Yeah. For the participant, both in online or offline, you can directly engage to our speaker. Maybe you can ask some question. Maybe you have a plan to make a research or writing about WPS, Women, Peace and Security. You can ask to our speaker. Okay, the participant from the offline. Do you have any question for our speaker? Yeah, okay. Yes. You want to ask a question? Okay, wait a minute.
Yeah, maybe to open the discussion, I'm Nani from Aman and also the alumni of International Relation of Brawijaya. Would like to ask the projection of each speaker. I mean, like to Miss Irin and also to Miss Melly. The projection of this agenda in our new government with the foreign policy and is it still relevant? Is it seen as the urgency for our government to develop WPS and get role more in ASEAN? And also how the academics in the campus can see the relevance of WPS and its Indonesian role, in Southeast Asia. Maybe it's not just in the development for the curricula in university, but also how the academics see this chance for Indonesia and implementation of WPS in the region. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your question. Maybe, I'm sorry, what is the question addressing for? Okay, Ms. Irene, can you answer the question?
About the foreign policy. Okay, so currently it's President Prabowo has one young minister foreign affairs that is aided by 3 vice ministers. In the history of Indonesian cabinet, this is, I think, the highest number of ministers we have in one ministry. But I would like to see if the minister thing, one business security is important. I think the only visible parameter for the moment is on how Indonesia still involved in terms of influencing the world's global peace. And 2 indicators already showed or demonstrated by President Prabowo, his pledge toward Palestinian cause, humanitarian support, humanitarian diplomacy to Gaza. And also, I haven't had updated about our determination to be part of country center of troops in peacekeeping operations. But recently, there have been some critics on the way Indonesia position itself as part of Southeast Asia nation in ASEAN. In terms of other things like issues of working with other strategic economy, I think the current cabinet is taking more assertive posture, like wanted to joining BRICS, right? So the interest is still determined by how Indonesia see its interests as in part of the global world. There has been some critics on the way Indonesia is actively involved in multilateral fora, for instance. But people already see, especially international observers and also scholars, see that Indonesian current president have more assertive foreign policy orientation than the previous president. So if this is a good sign or less good sign for advancing own business security agenda, there still need to be more discussion about it. But against all odds, since his background was also criticized by many due to perhaps the historical relationship with the former New Order regime as part of the family, he is quite a respected personnel in terms of part of the military leader and active military during his active time as military leader. And he definitely wanted to gain influence among global north and global south by his trips. How many days was it? To several countries rightly after he was inaugurated. So he wanted to instill influence. But again, we wanted to see if the leadership also shaped the way Minister of Foreign Affairs could extend foreign business security agenda as the predecessor did, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Retno Marsudi. Under the other cabinet member, like Minister of Women Power and Child Protection, who just also inaugurated in office, Ibu Arifah. She came from one of the biggest Nahdlatul Ulama communities, and I think several activists also still help her. So in this, there still be a good chance for civil society organization, woman-led civil society organization, to still support her in terms of national women peace and security agenda. I think even civil society organization have more chance to show that we need to do more in the future. For instance, by engage her more to pay attention to the monitoring and evaluation aspect of the implementation of the National Action Plan in the national level. Oh, another thing is that we could also, as the character of civil society organization had been discussed earlier, and also academic, there still be good chance for non-government entities to support the government to increase involvement in ASEAN as part of the multilateral, perhaps. Talking about women's security, not solely state-led activity, but also non-state actors can take the lead. So that's, I hope that explained. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Ibu Irina. Maybe Ibu Meli can add answer.
I agree with Dr. Iran that I think if the question is uh this is still relevant, is it still relevant? I think it's more relevant for the WPS agenda for us to as advocate and bring this gender women peace and security agenda in Indonesia and also in ASEAN. We have so many issues of conflict and human rights issues in ASEAN, whether even that we have the non-interference principle, but we still have the opportunities to have humanitarian initiative using the gender perspective, to address the issues of humanitarian disaster and humanitarian issues in ASEAN. The skepticism of our skepticism even in ASEAN or even in our new government makes it more relevant for us to works in women peace and security agenda. I think if the question is, are we still relevant doing these things? It's more relevant for us because there is a skepticism with our new government and the ASEAN as a regional organization. That's what I can. I hope this answer your question, Neni.
Yeah, thank you, Bu Meli. Are you satisfied with the answer? Okay, thank you. Maybe next question from the participant, both in online or offline. You can raise your hand, mention your name, and mention your question. Okay, Hema.
Check. Hi, my name is Hemalia Sumadewi. I have recently finished my study in IROB, and I just want to I just want to mention that two of my research interests include gender-based violence in armed conflict and also the dynamics of war, which sometimes do intersect with each other. But I want to ask Bumeli actually for this. So, as someone who has who has conduct a lot, some research and also reading in war studies specifically, we know that some researchers do think that war is also an act to bring peace, like the civis pacem para bellum stuffs like that. So I want to ask, why then in WPS it is very rare for an academic discussions to be broke about women's involvement in war itself, like for example probably as soldiers or stuffs, because I think that personally I think that women involvement in war to some extent is should be incorporated in the discussions of women and peace and security, because it is a discussions of peace and security, but it is very rare for me to see that discussions of women's involvement in war in where we WPS academic papers, as far as I read. So from academic perspective, what do you think, Bumeli?
You asked that why WPS doesn't address the issue of women as combatants. They do literally. They do actually. Yeah, that's part of the. Yeah, that's right. That yes, because maybe tadi presentasinya Bu Iran ada 4 pillars in WPS. Maybe we can the presentation of Bu Iran with the pillars of WPS. Yeah. Yeah, we address the victims first and the initiative. WPS address the victims first and the initiative of peace initiatives from women that that the yeah, researchers and maybe civil society NGOs try to collect and compile gitu ya. So we can have the we can collect the experience of women in conflict first, whether it's as yeah, women as combatant in war is also victims, because they are the victims of the war decisions that made maybe not by them, but by the elite of by the leaders that probably most of them are men. So we don't see women as combatant as the yeah, not only as a combatant, they also as victims of the decisions of the war decisions. So the pillars is about the participation, the prevention, the protection, and relief and recovery. Yeah, these are the 4 pillars of women peace and security, and as also Dr. Iran mentioned about the peacekeepers, women peacekeepers roles in a conflict area. They have the same responsibility with the male counterparts as peacekeepers. This is also what the Women, Peace and Security agenda address in their pillars. So yeah, what your question is why Women, Peace and Security doesn't allow us to this is more about, yeah, women as combatant, women, right? As combatant. They do actually, but the focus now is on the victims and the peace initiatives that bring out by women all over the world. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe Dr. Iran can also complete the answer.
Dr. Melly? Yeah, actually, that is a good question and observant, because the discussion on how one person security seem to victimize, or on behalf of seeing women as victims, hence empowering, is to pull out from the victimhood position. It's also been considered by many scholars and society actors. So for instance, maybe you can put to the critics from the Global South section. I think second slide from the last one. Terus. Yeah, ini. At the third, I think, on the fourth point, so critics from Singh, for instance, it said there is a need to problematize gender as a homogeneous category, one, because there is a critic that one business security is only talking about women and non-binary are not included. So that's inclusive. That's also been discussed for the last 20 years. And to look beyond the victim-agent dichotomy when considering women's roles in conflict. So there is a need, and it's definitely wanted to be applied to the wording in WPS. But consider the political conversation in the UN headquarters. It cannot be decided by one country only. So whereas in Australia's perspective on binary, non-binary, perhaps not fit with Indonesia's perspective on gender as a social category. We used to base our perspective in the policy paper by heteronormativity, whilst in some countries, heteronormativity is no longer a single source of ideas of gender roles. Yeah. So there is a critical aspect on women's security, and the newest UN Security Council Resolution 2024-2 about integration of women's security and PVE is actually originated from this critique. So seeing women as combatant could be found when we see cases of women involvement in terrorist action. So women became perpetrators. On the other hand, should be there is a way of seeing women as part of being victimized or being manipulated. This perspective actually also not seeing women as agency who is able or capable to decide on behalf of herself, to decide to join a particular terrorist group. The same with woman participation in a rebel group in Sri Lanka as Maoist rebels, or in Aceh during the guerrilla war, on East Timor-Leste during the guerrilla war, and so on. So in this respect, women's security need to be criticized, and it's already criticized. And the morality aspect on why the roles of women in the practical aspect as combatant is not being highlighted, but to position them as victims or also part and parcel of dominant, I would say the dominant perspective in that period that see woman is incapable of being a violent actor as the male colleague, But this way also uprooted the agency dimension of woman. Hence the critic is understandable. So there is a need to move beyond woman as victim agent dichotomy. But I think this critic also apply to male to see them beyond the victim agent dichotomy when considering their roles in conflict. I hope this explanation Make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. But can I ask one more follow-up question about that? So I think that because this discussion is also about victim agent dichotomy that you also mentioned before, talking about the agency of women in also conflict. So what do you think that is the ideal way to address how to uphold women's agency in how they decide whether or not how they participate, the way they participate in conflict?
Yeah, this is a very good question again. So for instance, it depends. Ideally, there is no one way to first agencies need to be recognized. So first, I think we need to recognize that women could bear different roles. So the agency meaning you have an autonomous decision toward what you will to do, what you're willing to do. So articles of policy or law should reflect this recognition. So our constitution actually does not discriminate men and women. If you see that semua warga negara. So that is one way to recognize the agency of men and women as part of Indonesian citizen. There is, of course, a critic of this is the binary, gender binary, and so on. But the way sociologically Indonesian culture, social only recognize two sexes also need to be considered. If we do not this, then there is a tendency to instigate conflict with, for instance, the majority of social or cultural entities, which can be counterproductive with the effort to enhance women's role and slash meaningful participation. So recognition is one of the basic way to address agency. If not recognized, then what? You cannot, accommodate them in any development plan and community participation if you're not recognized, right? You're not recognized by your own name. You're only recognized by your father's name, your husband's name. That is not fair. So recognition is one of the key method. And then from there can be built up to another strategies. I hope that makes sense. Recognition is the key.
All right, thank you so much, Doctor.
Welcome.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Ibu Irina and Ibu Meli. That is the last question for this session. Before we close our session, we can repeat again. Today's discussion has provided invaluable insight into women leadership and impact in peace process. Yeah. Ibu Irian highlight the critical role of policy and advocacy, and then Dr. Ampon forward the intersection of gender, religion, and security, and Ibu Meli emphasize the importance of academia in promoting gender perspective. Yeah, so we can conclude that WPS or Women, Peace and Security is not make war is safer for women, but to prevent conflict. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for the speaker. Thank you for Ibu Irina and Dr. Ampon and Ibu Meli. Now I give back the event to Nara as a MC.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Neola. But before we officially close it, maybe the moderator and also the speaker can stand up a little for a while to take a photo. Di mana? Oh iya. Okay. Okay, can the participant maybe open their camera? And also to Miss Amporn. Not yet. Miss Amporn, maybe? I think there's something wrong with the connection, probably. Miss Amporn, maybe can you switch on your camera? Okay.
Yes, sometimes it's off automatically. I don't know what's wrong. Just go with it. It's okay.
For the participant in Zoom meeting, maybe you guys can switch on the camera so that we can take a picture together. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
Okay.
you. Bye.
And then for the exciting part before the closing, we will be giving out rewards. Rewards for the speaker. And okay, and for the Universitas Brawijaya, maybe. Uh, dulu mungkin. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our program. I would like to take a moment to thank each and every one of your participation and also attention throughout today's event. Your presence and also engagement have truly made this occasion meaningful and impactful, whether it is offline and also online. And before we officially close, we have a very few important message announcement. First, we kindly request your feedback to help us improve future events. We have prepared an evaluation survey, and your input will be greatly appreciated. You can access the survey through the link that will be shared with you shortly. And also, additionally, for those of you eligible to receive an e-certificate, we will also distribute the attendance form. Please make sure to fill it out and to ensure that you receive your certificate. Okay, once again, thank you so much for being with us today. We look forward to seeing you at our future event. Until then, stay safe, stay inspired, and also have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, everyone.
Jadinya apa? Ini. Ya, emang katanya bisa. Oh, mestinya di extend dong, Mbak. Ya, ya, ya. Lo tadi padahal mau ngundang ke Prodi loh. Mau ngajak Mbak Iren ke Prodi.
Oke, ayo kita ke Prodi. Langsung ambil saya pesankan. Mau makan soto lombok.
Oh.
Yang paling dekat di Lombok saja ya. Oh, sudah enggak? Oh, ya.